We got one more clip of Theo Von talking about Gaza. Again, it's sort of like good for him to bring this up. But
well, he kind of has to, because his tears about it, despite, going to Mar-a-Lago, his tears saying, how are we letting this happen? Like, ask Eric Trump. But
Mr. Witkoff, but I never met him. But
Good dude. Yeah. You should have him.
I think I think the tough thing just as a regular person, right? It's like we're seeing all these videos of people like picking up pieces of their children, and like, of course, it's the sickest thing I think it's ever been televised. Basically, if you consider watching something on your phone being televised,
sad, man.
It feels like a massacre, and it feels like, I've called it a genocide. Other people have different thoughts about it, and that's fine, right? And I don't need anybody to share the same thoughts, or you two. But I think where it gets scary is that we give.
I'm sorry, can you just pause it for a sec? I don't need you to. This is the problem with this platform. Like, you guys aren't shooting the shit in your basement, Theo. There's a difference between you having an opinion that it's genocide and the vice president of the United States having an opinion that it's genocide. It's not an opinion. He's one of the most powerful people on the planet. He has the ability to stop it, or at least put pressure on Trump to stop it. This is the problem with this format. It's
it feels like a massacre, and it feels like, I've called it a genocide. Other people have different thoughts about it, and that's fine, right? And I don't need anybody to share the same thoughts, or you two. But I think where it gets scary is that we give, we're complicit in it because we help fund like military stuff, and that's where as like a regular guy, you're like, well, I'm paying these taxes and they're going towards this, like, but you can't do anything, like you can talk, but it's like,
he can.
I don't understand how it becomes like tough for people. Like sometimes it feels like we look out for the interests of Israel before we look out for the interests of America.
So let me say a couple things. So number one, like, I think you're a great dude, so we don't always have to agree on everything. Do I think do I think it's a genocide? No. And here's the reason why I don't think it's a genocide, because I don't think that the Israelis are purposely trying to go in and murder every Palestinian. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they got hit hard.
Pause it for a second. Now, I just think that, like, if you're going to have, if you think something's a genocide, you should have the commitment to it to sort of be able to say, like, well, for it to be a genocide, it doesn't necessarily involve the Israelis going in to do it. And they don't really have the capacity. They have the literal capacity to go in and kill just about every Palestinian. But if they did that, there would be much more repercussions than we see right now. Instead, what they're doing is they're doing it bit by bit, and they're doing it slowly, and they're doing it in such a way that they are causing people and immiserating people, and they are destroying the sort of the fabric of any type of Palestinian society, literally wiping all of their housing off the face of the earth.
They're bombing rubble now.
So this is a moment where, like, if you're going to bring this up to the second most powerful person in the country, who's going to, push back and has a different opinion, you got a responsibility. Like, I know you're just a regular dude, except for the fact that regular dudes don't have millions of people watching them. Regular dudes don't get to sit down with the vice president. So if you're going to braise this, you have a responsibility. There is a legal concept, like, you're not legally responsible. If you walk by somebody who's injured on some level, you don't have the same legal responsibility if you start to engage to help.
But you can see,
because there's an implication that you know what you're doing.
You can see that he has the impulse to ask about it because he knows it's on his mind and he knows he's covered it before.
But we're bros.
But bro.
Hey, you're a good dude.
Well, this is just a response. This is just the point. Is that there's no sense that they have a responsibility to do this. And I get that he's a comedian. I used to be a comedian. He may have been funnier than me. It doesn't matter. I probably did more sitcoms. It doesn't matter. I have no idea what his career was. That doesn't matter. The bottom line is, if you're sitting there and having an interview with the vice president and you're bringing up these issues, good for you for bringing them up, but you also got to be able
He's not
to
capable.
push back
Stand on business.
But he's not capable. This is not a show that is like meant for this. This is the problem with the format. This is the problem with like I don't know. I mean, the Rogan has the same issue.
But do I think it's a genocide? No. And here's the reason why I don't think it's a genocide, because I don't think that the Israelis are purposely trying to go in and murder every Palestinian. I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they got hit hard, and I think they're trying to sort of destroy this terrorist organization, and war is hell, and that is true. I also think it's true, man. I mean, I've seen people on my side of the political aisle. I'm a Republican, you know that, but your audience may not, who will see these videos of these innocent Palestinian kids and say, oh, well, they had it coming to them. No. Like if you have a soul, your heart should break when you see a little kid who's suffering, which is why we have the policy that we have, which is we're trying to eliminate the conflict, eliminate the source of the conflict, so that we can actually bring some peace and some humanitarian assistance into people. And that's my basic view.
What is the source of the conflict?
Hamas.
Is it just Hamas? Oh, okay. That's weird. That's weird.
Break.
Well, listen, Hamas has been around for centuries upon centuries upon centuries. They existed since the time immemorial and has always been the problem.
Yeah, the president's interesting. He's a pro-Israel guy.
Yeah.
And he also recognizes that to bring any conflict to a close, you've got to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And so, we've been attacked. I've been attacked. The president's been attacked for being too interested in diplomacy. And you ask, what can I do? I think that what people should demand is that if our tax dollars are going to something, we should be actively trying to fix it. Okay, that's kind of the way that I think about it. And what happened with the Biden administration?
Can you pause? I'm so okay.
They were spending so much money all over the world.
It's fine. What do you mean you should try and fix it? People are doing that in the streets, and your administration is locking them up and deporting them. Okay.
They weren't engaged in diplomacy at all. So we sent $300 billion to Ukraine, for example, and you never had the president of the United States actually trying to force a diplomatic settlement. When you talk about bodies all over the ground, dude, the Russia-Ukraine thing is the most vicious. We see satellite images, we see classified images, man. It is vicious. And again, it's I will hear people who
How
will say,
is it that we don't have something like 1.5 million soldiers have died in this conflict, I think, in Ukraine. I'm not exactly sure. The ratio of civilian to military deaths, it's not even, it's not even remotely close. And the idea that you have to pivot to that when you're talking about Gaza is telling.
It's because it's the anti-war thing. It's the same dance Tim Pool did, right? When we were talking about this before even the genocide began, which is that the right pretends it's anti-war because there's a faction of the right that finds itself aligned with Vladimir Putin because of his, authoritarian nature, and because there's some overlaps with conservatism here in the United States. And they've made that into, we're isolationists, we're anti-war. When you come down to brass tacks with the Zionists and the administration, they have no answer except to deflect. And Theo Von is completely not up to the task for this obvious deflection.
I mean, and this started off them talking about Witkoff. Witkoff, of course, he did some diplomacy, and then certain people got mad at that. And then it turned around, and it didn't mean anything. It was all a ruse. The Witkoff massacre, hundreds killed or wounded as Israeli forces opened fire on Gaza food aid site. This was after a supposed diplomatic outreach by Witkoff. They're building a mythology that has no bearing on the actual reality.
And we talked about this a little bit with Trita Parsi last week, but there's a very real possibility that right now, because Trump wants to be the deal maker with Iran, that his de facto position right now is he doesn't want to doubly piss off the Israelis by pursuing some sort of talks with Iran. So he's just letting them do whatever the hell that they want in Gaza to complete the genocide. And I think we're at a very real hinge point there, where just because Witkoff and Trump are talking around the Israelis and are trying to do something that we think is positive, hopefully with Iran, doesn't mean that that has any bearing on the issue of the Palestinian genocide.
We're going to have Jasper Nathaniel on in a week or so. He's coming out with a piece about the moves that Israel's taking now to annex the West Bank.
Yeah.
Which we know Donald Trump promised Miriam Adelson as well. So we will see, we'll see where that goes. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.